In 2026, something happened that didn't make sense. One of the world's most sanctioned countries, a nation under constant pressure under the leadership of Kim Jong-un, suddenly started showing signs of growth. Factories became active, construction projects restarted, and economic activity slowly returned. It wasn't dramatic, but it was enough to raise a serious question. And what made it even more unusual was that nothing significant had changed on the surface. No major reforms, no sudden foreign investment, no clear trigger that could explain the shift. So the question wasn't just, how did this happen? It became something deeper. How does a country grow when every visible system around it suggests it shouldn't be able to? And the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the answer became. Because the engine behind that growth didn't look like business. It looked like strategy. For years, analysts expected North Korea's economy to remain weak. Sanctions restricted trade, foreign investment was limited, and resources were tightly controlled. The assumption was simple. Without access to global markets, growth would be slow or impossible. But in early 2026, reports began to suggest something different. Industrial activity started increasing, construction sites reopened, transportation networks showed signs of life again. These changes were not loud headlines, but they were consistent enough to draw attention. Because growth usually follows reforms, investment, or new resources, none of those factors appeared here. Yet progress continued quietly in the background. That contradiction forced experts to reconsider their assumptions. Maybe the answer wasn't economic at all. Maybe it was structural. In most countries, the military exists to protect national borders. Its mission is clear: prepare for conflict and respond to threats. But in North Korea, the military has a much broader role. It is deeply involved in everyday development. Military engineering units help build roads, bridges, housing complexes, and industrial facilities. They operate heavy equipment, manage logistics, and complete large-scale projects under strict timelines. This system allows the government to mobilize thousands of trained workers without relying on private companies. At first glance, this may seem practical, but it also reveals something unusual. Because when the military becomes part of the economy, the line between defense and development begins to blur. And that blur may be the key to understanding the country's unexpected growth. One of the biggest advantages of military organizations is discipline. Every soldier follows orders, every task has a schedule, and every operation is carefully coordinated. That level of structure creates predictability, and predictability creates efficiency. In several major projects, large teams of uniformed workers were assigned to construction zones. They worked long hours under strict supervision, completing projects faster than traditional civilian crews. The system was simple: clear instructions, centralized control, and constant oversight. From the outside, it looked like ordinary construction, but the workforce behind it was anything but ordinary. Because these workers were not hired employees, they were soldiers. And when soldiers become builders, the economy gains a powerful new resource. As more projects appeared across different regions, analysts began noticing a pattern. New buildings were not randomly distributed. They were concentrated around industrial zones, transportation hubs, and strategic locations. This pattern suggested planning, careful planning. Infrastructure wasn't expanding everywhere. It was expanding where it mattered most. Roads connected production centers. Housing supported factory workers. Facilities were placed near supply routes. Each project seemed to serve a larger system. And when those projects were mapped together, they formed a network designed to support production, movement, and stability. That realization changed the conversation. Because growth was no longer just happening, it was being directed. Economic growth often depends on creativity, innovation, and investment. But in highly structured systems, discipline can be just as important. When schedules are strict and responsibilities are clear, operations become predictable. Factories run on time. Maintenance happens regularly. Supplies arrive according to plan. This reliability creates momentum. In 2026, several industries maintained steady output despite limited resources. Equipment was repaired quickly, production lines stayed active, and delays were minimized. These improvements did not require new technology or foreign investment. They required organization. And organization is something military systems understand extremely well, which raises an interesting possibility. What if the real engine of growth wasn't money, but discipline? While discipline provided structure, technology provided speed. Over the past decade, North Korea invested heavily in technical training and digital systems. Engineers learned to manage logistics through software, monitor equipment performance, and coordinate large projects more efficiently. These tools didn't transform the economy overnight, but they improved efficiency step by step. Small improvements accumulated over time. Machines operated longer without failure. Communication became faster. Planning became more precise. From the outside, these changes were almost invisible, but inside the system, they created momentum. And momentum is often the difference between stagnation and growth. Sanctions were designed to weaken the economy by limiting trade and restricting resources. In many cases, they created serious challenges, but they also forced the system to adapt. Instead of expanding rapidly, the country focused on stability. Instead of relying on imports, it strengthened internal production. Instead of spreading resources thin, it concentrated them in key areas. When investigators connected all the pieces, a clear picture began to emerge. The military was not just protecting the country, it was supporting the economy. Soldiers built infrastructure, managed projects, and maintained discipline across industries. Technology improved coordination, and centralized planning directed resources where they were needed most. Individually, each element seemed ordinary, but together they formed a strategy. A strategy designed to keep the system functioning under pressure. A strategy built on structure, coordination, and long-term planning. And a strategy that explained how growth could happen even when conditions were difficult. In 2026, the mystery of North Korea's unexpected growth was no longer just an economic question. It became a strategic one. For years, the world expected North Korea to slow down. Instead, it adapted. Quietly, steadily, and methodically, the system found ways to keep moving forward. Not through sudden breakthroughs, but through disciplined planning and coordinated effort. And that shift changed the narrative. Because the story was never just about money or industry. It was about strategy. If you enjoy uncovering hidden systems, unexpected patterns, and the strategies shaping our world, consider subscribing and staying curious. Because sometimes, the biggest stories aren't the ones making headlines. They're the ones quietly unfolding behind the scenes.